And we kicked off today with the music of Mozart, his string quartet in in G. It's K3-8-7 as well, a work he wrote for Haydn, dedicated to Haydn, written in 1782, apparently. So there we go, a string quartet to kick off the missions today. We should play more chamber music. Anyhow, we're getting sorted here, slowly but surely, organised, and we'll run with things today, but it has been a fractious 24 hours, to say the least. A lot happening in this household. Looks like we are basically an island from this point for another week, and daughter's very sick, and but she's out of hospital, and she's convalescing in her own space. We have to make a special space because she's got the big virus. So... we'll just keep an eye on things. Now, I'll find a 20s hit, I think, in a moment. But I will have to be on hand to help manage the fam in between records. So we'll just see how that all transpires. Okay, we can have a listen to a 20s hit. This is a record that I've known for a long time, and it features a fantabulous string-based solo from Steve Brown. He was a member of the New York Rhythm Kings back in the early days, and by 1926 he was really shoring up the double bass as a slap string instrument. And that's a driving force in this recording. So listen for the slap string bass. It is all happening for the first time here in this way. So Gene Goldkett and his orchestra, just before Bix joined, incidentally, in 1926. The track's called Dinah. Golket and the band from 1926 featuring Steve Brown on the double bass. Driving influence there, and it's interesting. What's astonishing about that recording is he's playing right on the front of the beat. He's pushing, he's driving, and it has that sense of slightly destabilising the music. Very effective, and became a hallmark of swing music later on. Yay.
Yes, very, very good.
Okay, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. Yes, okay, on your situation. I just turned on briefly, I thought about 11:15, I thought I'd just see if anyone's on.
Yep.
And I just turned on when you came on and spoke to Gus, so I understand the situation.
Oh, yes, it's all a little bit dramatic here.
Yes, sounds terrible. You always seem to get the brunt of it, so another disaster. But
stuff happens.
Anyway, we had a bit of a disaster here yesterday. We had a massive thunderstorm and electrical storm.
Yes.
And next door, they sort of built a lean-to into the garage, it's using our garage wall as a wall.
Yes, yes.
And it's happened a couple of times when it's super rain, its bad slopey roof fills up and actually sends water in through the wall of the garage and just pokes through the holes in the bricks, just pours through.
Oh, right.
So we had a massive flood.
Oh, gosh, so into your garage?
Yes,
and
it's on the main research R&D desk.
Oh, no.
So all my signal generators, everything got totally washed out.
Oh, no.
And I remember last year, because that's what the servers were on that cabinet.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
I thought if there's a big storm, they're going to go, but it didn't happen. But anyway, it all totally filled up with water.
Oh, right.
So I'll wait till I'll just let them dry out naturally.
If you let them dry out, just don't turn them on, they should be okay.
They should be okay. I'm not particularly worried.
You probably give them a good washout, clean out.
That's right. So anyway, that's what's happened here. We had about 2 inches of water on the floor. Luckily the booth hasn't got it because I knew of this fault, and when I built it, I built those like the steps, like in a ship.
Yes.
So it can fill up and doesn't go into the booth, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's good thinking ahead. Yeah, these things can be a bit unredeemable,
I know.
And you can't do much about it. Once the event starts, you are in the drink, so to speak.
It was just absolute, like about 10 minutes, this massive downpour.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've had one since about probably 6 years or something. And we're on the high spot of the street. The low bit gets filled up and all houses flood. Okay. And one time, I think in 2008 it happened, and the kids took the canoe and floated down the street.
Oh, brilliant.
And they paddled down the street in the canoe.
Yeah, excellent.
So I must have meant when you buy a house and it says 100-year flood level.
Yes.
I've never bought a house like that, and I think I know why.
Because 100 years is not
necessarily... It's about 5 years now.
Yes, well, that's it. And it's always by Murphy's default within your pass bands. You're always going to get either burnt out or flooded within there's whenever there's a warning like that.
So, we're okay, but just the garage is badly designed because it slopes down from the yard and stuff.
Yeah, so like an internal gutter, was it? Is that is that what you explained?
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why everything expensive is up a few, like a foot above the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that's good thinking.
It doesn't flood.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that because I had to deal with a situation. Well, no near as dramatic, but we've got an internal gutter in a part of our place, and it always fills up with these huge leaves from a next door neighbour's tree. Now, I had a feeling that it might have the prospect of flood, and the water was just spraying out of this gutter head, and I thought, oh my God, we're going to have a big flood. So we got down to our jocks, climbed up on the roof in the middle of the big storm, and in earnest cleared that gutter. And then it sort of all started to flow. But I think if we'd been 5 minutes later, we would have had another flood event. Because when we first came to this house, we didn't know about this problem. And we had a $15,000 insurance claim because it just completely wiped out the sunroom.
Oh,
it filled the whole ceiling, and the entire ceiling just collapsed onto the... and ever since then, I've been really vigilant about clearing that gutter after that first event. And,
that's right.
Internal gutters are not good.
No, they're not. The thing is, of course, once the storm happens, you could easily hurt yourself and be, badly injured.
Yes.
So once it happened, I'm not even going out there because I remember once years back in Plunket Avenue, the rain started and there was a closed in the line. I ran out.
Yes.
And slipped. And I did my knee in just incredibly.
Oh, that's terrible. Not good.
And it's okay now, but they were going to do surgery. I said, no, don't touch it, and it fixed up after.
And it worked itself out, but still very inconvenient. And hot slipping's a terrible thing to happen.
Oh, it's terrible. And I was wearing no clothes. I was lying out in the rain in agony.
No.
Pouring down.
No. High drama. It's a terrible state to be in. Yeah, climbing up ladders and moving around concrete in the wet is not a good idea.
It's not. Just don't. If the roof's leaking, just let it leak. I mean, insurance will fix up everything, but you can't fix up a broken leg.
Certainly not. No. Well, that's it. So back to your situation now. Is the were you able? I suppose that you've got that big rack with all of the ABC stuff in it, and did it get behind that right down to the garage door, right down to the other end?
Well, luckily, everything is a few inches above, so the water didn't touch anything technical or any wreck stuff.
Yes.
So it didn't matter too much.
Okay. So you just got water on the floor.
Yeah, I think that some of the transformers got wet.
Yeah.
A few things, but I've got so much stuff I'm going to throw it out.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember at Plunkett Avenue, I had this. A lot of stuff got water damage. It's a good excuse to throw it out.
Oh, it is. That's right. It's a catalyst. Yeah.
Anyway, it happens about every 5 years.
Yes.
And so this garage is pretty shit. It's got cracks in the walls. It's going to fall down one day. It's leaks in the roof.
It's a very big space. It must be a 4-car garage.
It would be, yeah.
Must have been a mechanics workshop or something, because it's a huge space.
It is. It's an amazing space. So it's not. It needs a bit of work done on it, but it's hard to do with the stuff in here.
Yeah.
But anyway, it turns out everything's okay. I think I've turned on the Crow, the Singer. The national signal generator works. I haven't turned on the Marconi yet.
You want to make sure that one completely dries out.
That's right. Now, the Grampian amplifier...
Oh, yes.
It crackles and pops.
Ah.
So I've just left it on, and it might dry itself out.
It'll just dry itself out. Yes.
The 6BQ5s will dry it out.
Yes, they will. It'll just sort of warm up. It's a nice little compact unit, that Grampian.
I've got 3 or 4 of them. They're nice little units.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
You just need to put a bigger capacitors into the filter so they don't hum so much.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I've got one here. And, look, they're excellent little amplifiers, the Grampians. Yeah. Oh, well, that's all. It's all been happening.
So your big bonanza next week might have to be cancelled.
Oh, yes. Everything's cancelled now.
Oh, no.
No work.
Home for 10 years.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be here all week. And I might even, if I'm not doing anything, I might even see if we can do some missions this week. We'll see how it goes. But I can't go back to work for 7 days. In fact, none of us can. And we just sort of, bunkering down. But, look, it's horrible seeing a young person in distress. And I have to say, it has been a pretty awful thing for young Celia. So, anyhow, she'll get over it. But, but we've had to move her to a different spot. But it was all happening last night. It was an all-nighter last night, and I had the easy gig sitting here doing emissions.
I know, but it's a bit strange for doing that.
There's nothing else. I'd rather do something. I mean, if I could be sitting here watching the phone, waiting for the call, and I knew it wasn't life-threatening, but I knew it was just a very unpleasant scenario that was playing, and it was just waiting for that. And of course, if there'd been any elevation, I would have quickly wrapped up and headed down. But they needed someone at home as well, so it was okay.
It's interesting because when I was young, I remember I used to have flus or whatever they were.
Yes.
And the whole room would be spinning. Nowadays, you'd be in ICU.
Yeah, well.
And just this room spinning at temperature about 150.
Yeah.
And we just burst through it,
Yeah.
No one cared.
Yep.
And, it's just the way it is. But anyway, we all survive, and if you're young, it helps a lot.
Well, it does help a lot. It's just that some people react more than others, I suppose. It's a personal thing. But,
anyway, look, listening to it on the AM3, your voice, I think, is a bit overly equalised.
Oh, is it?
The music's compared to UHF, the UHF is excellent. The 160's got more, I think, sounds a bit more open, a bit more breathes more.
Right, it's interesting.
Because that actually, the response is as good as the UM3 and the amp.
Okay, so it needs to be equalised. Well, that's interesting. I sort of can't do it independently because of I'll have to...
Look, it's okay. I'm listening on AM3. Most people wouldn't even have a clue what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In fact, I would be the only person listening on a wideband AM tuner and a wideband FM tuner. Everyone else.
Yeah. Did you do it? Did you hear it in stereo last night?
Was it stereo last night?
Yeah, I did stereo missions last night.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
The stereo bit. I only listened to a bit beforehand.
Yeah, sure. I realise that. That's fine. No, we did a bit of a stereo experiment last night.
Which is useless because no one's listening to stereo.
I know. It's academic, but if you can do it, why not? And I know Frank can listen in stereo. Who used to listen in stereo, so maybe he could do that again.
Well, look, I could listen in 5 stereo, but one side goes ka-thump every couple of minutes.
Yeah, I understand.
It's disconcerting.
Yes, I appreciate that. No, it's yes, the situation. So in terms of, I haven't got a very good radio voice. I haven't got grain or presence and all that sort of thing. So if I can put in some sort of equalisation, probably be a little bit more lower end, I suppose, would do.
Well, maybe, but I think the lower ends may be clipping a bit too. Look, I don't know. I just get New Beck in to do all the announcements.
Yes, I think
That's
so.
The way to go.
Yes, he's got a lovely grain to his voice. Yes, I envy people who've got the right tone.
Funny how old Beck and New Beck have got good voices.
They both got good voices. It must be a Beck thing. Yeah.
It must be, yes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Oh, well,
my voice is not that good, but some people just have a voice that sounds fantastic. Like,
yes.
Like Mr. What's his name on Radio National.
Oh, yes.
He has just a great voice.
Yes, Mr. L has an excellent voice for radio.
And Mr. Delebe, he has good voices too.
Yes. Yes.
And Mozart with his employer and relations not and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, that's
talking
right.
About,
yes.
Mozart being sacked from the whatever.
That's right. There was a story
imagine having a voice like that. You'd just be on the wireless all the time.
You would. You get addicted to your own voice if you had that sort of lovely grain. Yeah, but that's the way it was. You're employed on the quality of your voice, not your program material.
Well, this used to be the problem, of course. You had people who had no journalistic or news sense, but they had a good voice, so they were important on the wireless.
Yes, that's right.
And the people who knew what was going on weren't allowed to talk.
Isn't that ridiculous? Yeah, that's the situation. Yeah, what's his name? Mr. Stanton Hicks is a bit of a case in point, isn't he?
Oh, yes, that's right. He did very well. Only about 15 bloopers in that one news item.
Yes, that's right. Well, he sort of had the tone, but he didn't have...
He didn't have the concentration.
He didn't have the concentration or the sort of personality, really. He didn't have much personality.
No, that's right.
Yeah, that's why I think personality was a bit of a negative back then. But in some instances...
The ABC people weren't meant to have personality.
No,
they were like an automated voice. That what was fed into them through the script went out on the air.
That's right.
And you could do it now all digitally.
Yeah, it was all about the theatrical
But you
ploys.
weren't meant to be a personality.
Yeah, that's the way it was. I've got that record of Australian elocution. I could put it on. You actually, that could be interesting. You could hear it on your AM3, and I haven't played it for a while. I wonder if I can find it. Yes, that's a great big. It's a nice example of Mr. Big Brother.
Yeah.
Telling us how to be.
Look at this, ridiculous. And what about have you got your AM emitters? Is the grid current stable? Or is it drifting up and down?
Oh, it's reasonably stable. It went for a huge oscillation when I tuned it up as before, and I thought, oh no, something's going to happen. I quickly switched it off and let it calm down. I was trying to optimise the oscillator, with the signal generator, and I think I destabilised it somehow.
Right, okay.
So you've got to be a bit careful there. But you learn these things as you go.
Well, it certainly sounds 100 times better than before.
Yeah, look, I've got monitoring now too.
Extra, power is a big. It does make you a difference as well.
Yeah. Oh, look, it does make a big difference. It's really good. And I can now monitor. I've got the ModMon connected up. I sorted it out this morning between episodes.
Oh, great. Well, just listen off that and see.
Yeah. Look, it sounds fine.
So you've got what sort of mod monitor have you got?
Oh, it's a Marconi.
Yeah. That's with the tuning one.
Yes, that's right.
I think if you had one of the AWA proper ones, you would. The difference is just amazing.
I'd like to find one of those.
Look, everything else I've listened to is just crap. Even this one I bought at the Hamfest, the small solid state one.
Yes.
It's just crap. those AWA things,
Yeah.
and I think RCA made a version as well. AWA just ripped them off.
They would have ripped off the RCA.
And I don't know how it is. They're just perfect.
Yeah. And
it's like the Pyrox wire recorder. The circuitry, there is no hum or noise or distortion.
They're beautifully designed. Everything just works, and it's even got a big red bulb on the front.
That's right. And it's like the Nagras. You
Yes.
look at the circuits. They're like out of the textbook of how to design out. There's nothing in them. And there's no hum and distortion.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It is. No, I'm aware of those AWA units. They're excellent. Excellent mod monitors, and I nearly got one a little while ago, and the fellow died, and they threw it in the skip.
Oh no!
Yes, this was a little while. It was a fellow in Perth, and I put my hand up for it, and then got in touch with the family after I knew there was he'd passed on, and they said no, we threw them all out.
Oh,
So
they are amazing. I remember when I went to 3LO, the emitting station at Tottenham,
Yep.
wherever it is up, in the west there.
Yes.
Back in 19 Mumble.
yeah.
And they had a rack. They had about 4 of the AWA ones and 4 of the new version of AWA, the solid state one.
Right.
And they're all running in unison.
Yes.
And I said, well, I've got the old ones still in the rack. And they said, well, the new ones are not a patch on the old ones.
Is that
We
right?
use the new ones as a standby, and
Ah.
the valve ones
It
as
was,
monitor.
well, isn't that amazing? That's that says it all, doesn't it?
It certainly
Yeah,
does.
it transcended the generation. So where did yours actually come from?
Mine came from, I think they're RAAF, ident number Y10T
Really?
5002222. So
Okay.
the RAAF
I
ones.
know. Well, I know Mr. Roy's got one. I think he got one from you.
He did. Now,
Yes.
Mr. Roy, I remember listening about 15 years ago, he said, I would love to have an AWA monitor. He said, because he worked in the business.
Yes.
And I had an old one that had burnt out mains transformers all stuffed
Yep.
and had spider webs in it and stuff. So I gave it to him.
Ah, he proudly showed that to me when I visited Roy.
Yes, and he did. He did give me a handbook, a photocopied, nicely presented photocopied handbook of the circuit and everything.
Oh, very good.
So I've got that. So I gave it to Roy. Although I must admit, I did listen the day after I gave it to him. Oh, he gave me this thing. It's full of spiders. The transformers burnt out and blah blah blah. I thought, well, I didn't give it to him free.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but
Well,
I've got 3 actually. The main one's it's gone distorted. I have to look into it.
yeah.
That's the 161. I've repatched the 81 into 160 so I can monitor.
Sure.
But I have to pull out of the rack and it's probably just a passage or something.
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
And but no, they're amazing things. So yeah, it's so now you have to come on the air 24 hours a day. Now you're stuck at home.
That's right. Now I'm stuck at home. We might have more missions, but it'll be day by day. If I'm not doing anything at this time, I will. I'll certainly. Raid the shelves and see what we can find.
At least,
should be good.
so does this mean because do you still get paid not going to work? Or
Not all of it.
Right.
Some of it I lose out on. There's no contingency. For other parts of my work there is. So, and I will have to work from home.
Right.
So, there's what they do is the kids will be taken into a room and set up their laptop, and I'll give them a remote lesson.
They'll need to wear a mask and put a thing over the mic and the screen scores so you don't infect them.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, so, they will, some of them will still have lessons. In fact, it'll be more personal because for that reason I won't have to wear one, whereas in the teaching studio I do. So, it's bizarre that way. But the classes I teach and the orchestras I conduct and stuff like that, there's no easy way of doing that, so that work is suspended until I'm back on. But look, it could be a while because there's a lot of us in this household, and we'll just see how many pins fall.
The point is that everybody in the world's going to get the new variant.
Yeah.
It's not even, you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
So they haven't factored that in. Everyone's going to get it sometime in the next few months.
That's right. It'll happen.
So, you can't just close things down because people get it.
Well, I think they're sort of trying to find ways to keep essential things.
Sort of backpedaling a bit.
They have to, because otherwise we won't be able to do anything.
Well, we'll get the supermarkets will be empty.
Yeah, that's right. No toilet paper.
The power will go off, everything, because people can't do stuff.
That's it.
So anyway, it's interesting how it's gone.
Oh, yes.
But if it's good that I didn't know.
I'd rather it happen.
Going to be on this afternoon, but it's good that you're on.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know if Frank's around or not.
I don't know. He was doing something today, but maybe he's on the sideline. We'll see if he turns up. But
yeah. So what time did you work out to pick him up last evening?
Oh, I got back at 4 o'clock in the morning, I think, is when they got back. Yeah, after the...
No, I mean, last night when you were on in the evening and Frank was trying to call in.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, now that'll sort of... it didn't take long at all. It was just a loose connection. So, yes, about 5 minutes after I got the note. So,
right.
Yeah, so there wasn't...
I remember I used to sometimes have things turned down, and then when I turn it on, I'd get abused by Mr. E.
Oh, I know. I remember that happening. It was a regular occurrence, actually. Yeah, pretty tiresome. I mean, you can't remember everything, and you know,
it's so complex, isn't it?
I know. There's so many little things, and you know, I'm constantly moving stuff around and adjusting and things. That's inevitable. So look, Frank usually he actually left a note on my phone as well. So I did hear from him, and I gave him a quick ring, and it was all okay. But yeah,
it's interesting because often I'd have a handheld, click on the frequencies, and they'd all come through. And then you'd find out you've repatched the antenna was patched into something else.
Yes.
So no one outside could hear it. And then when you plugged it in, all you got was abuse because you weren't talking to people.
Yeah, well, that's right. It did happen that way. I remember it very well. But some people do enjoy doing that sort of thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
But anyway, your UHF and 160 now, apart from the plops, are exceptional quality.
Okay.
And just the other night, when I was just listening on the normal UHF set with the crap speaker and unmodified, I thought, that sounds better than normal. Yeah. And even through crap stuff even on the Baofeng it sounds better. So,
okay, that's good. No, look, I'm pleased.
It's sort of incremental thing, you know.
Oh, yep, work in stages. No, it's good to know. Yay, all right. Well, look,
we'll have to get back to the music.
I will. In fact, I'm going to put a serial on, and I've got an episode of CIB here, straight off the disc, and I do have to go and do a few urgent emails, so I thought I'd put this on while I do a bit of work stuff.
Right.
And then we might see if Frank's round in about half an hour, and we might play a few tracks then.
Let's go then.
Okay, Dave, great. Good to catch up, and we'll see what's happening here. I might just play a bit of 20s interlude while I see if I can find that elocution record as well. That could be good. Standing on by.
Upon a stalk, those are the views of all who do the new Yale blues. Just close your eyes, you'll do it soon. A world of sighs is in the tune. When daylight dies, the stars are dancing those Yale blues. When Harvard knew that syncopation, it sent them simply wild. Their anger grew with every nation, and every little child said that the Yale had put the rest beyond the pale. It is the best. Put on your shoes. Suppose you try those new Yale blues.
the Dorsey Brothers Orchestra from 1928, the Yale Blues, and off an Okayer 78 there, via Mr. Prozut, of course, a superlative transfer. And as we understand it, it was Charles Hibbard who was the recording engineer for all those New York sessions for Columbia and Okayer, and he's an individual I want to find out more about. There's an interesting article I did read a couple of weeks back about Mr. Hibbard, and he really understood how to space the musicians in the room. So the balance engineer was very much aware of the tone and the projection of different instruments. So a lot of it was in that dark art of spacing the musicians out, because all these early players all memorised their charts, so they didn't need to worry about music stands and stuff. So it was a question of just finding that interpersonal balance to make things sound good. So yes, Charles Hibbard. I'd love to read more about how he did that, how he achieved that with just one single condenser mic. It's fascinating. Alrighty, what I'll do is I've been able to find that Speech for Australians disc. It's from Bryson Taylor. I think it was recorded back in 1960 mumble. Anyhow, it's sort of really condescending Big Brother stuff. But he has got the ultimate radio voice. He's got grain. He hasn't got a lot of personality, but he's telling a story, and we'll just allow people who have their AM3s and their wideband setups properly calibrated to have a Bryden experience. vk3sl.
They have a good, clear voice of agreeable quality and have something really worthwhile to say. Yet your manner of delivery can be dull, monotonous, over-rapid, or too laboured, lacking in rhythm, vitality, and general appeal. Such a speaker hasn't studied or mastered the art of delivery. Delivery consists of the proper integration or blending of phrasing, emphasis, inflection, modulation, intonation, and pace. Let us take these factors separately. First of all, phrasing. Always remember that the unit of speech in continuous speaking is the phrase. We must break up our speech into what are known as sense groups or phrases. When we read aloud from prepared material, we train the eye and mind to take note of the punctuation and the conjunctions and prepositions which bind the phrases. Phrasing is always an aid to clear meaning. When we know something of our subject matter, our phrasing should be expressive, so it will be easy for our hearers to follow our meaning. In a public address, we train the mind to think logically and to arrange our ideas in intelligent sequence. When thinking on our feet, it's remarkable how one phrase can build upon the other, like bricks in a wall. Of course, this fluency comes only with practice, and to be a successful platform speaker, you must seek out every opportunity of having that practice. Correct phrasing also helps in breath control, the proper adjustment of pauses, and control of pace. Phrasing can be applied to all forms of speaking, including conversation, and helps us to drop those unnecessary and irritating ums and ers, and the overuse of such expressions as you see, and sort of, and like, and listen. Here is a short passage which will be read with careful attention to phrasing. Many young people, especially those living near the coast, have not seen one of the loveliest sights to be seen in Australia. That is a large wheat field, standing thick with tall grain, yellowed by the sun, and ready for the harvester. It is like a sea of wheat, and when the wind blows across it, the ears of wheat ripple like waves. If you listen, you hear a soft swish as the stalks bend under the breeze. This is the song of the wheat, and it seems to whisper a man's name, William James Farrar. Reading aloud from all types of material is the best exercise in phrasing, and you will soon realize it is the first step towards a good delivery. But your speech can still sound wooden and lifeless without due attention to emphasis, which will now be discussed. Emphasis comes from a Greek word meaning I make clear. Think then of emphasis as an aid to clear meaning. It is a stressing or vocal treatment of words in a phrase or sentence. For example, not one of them, but all of them. The words one and all were firmly stressed to clarify the meaning of that simple statement. But emphasis is more than just hitting at a word to make it significant. It can be gained in a number of ways, mainly by the help of stress, pitch, pause, length, and inflection, all of which will be illustrated in a moment. We must note also that emphasis can be logical and emotional. Logical emphasis is used merely to convey the sense of a passage by making certain words prominent. No emotion is expressed if you say, "I thought of going, but I decided to stay." Strong emotion is expressed if you use emphasis in this manner. "I won't go, I tell you. I'm here to stay. Try putting me out. Go on, try it." The importance of emphasis with regard to change of meaning can be illustrated by the different readings of a simple statement such as, "I gave him 2 shillings. First of all, I gave him 2 shillings, not lent him. I gave him 2 shillings, not the other fellow. I gave him 2 shillings, not 10. I gave him 2 shillings, not pounds. I gave him 2 shillings? What nonsense!" Notice how difference of pitch can help to emphasize a phrase. All our powers, whether of mind or body, are given to us in a state of imperfection. The purpose of all training, mental or physical, is that of growth or development. Pausing before a word gives it significance. They with gold to give doled him out silver. We can lengthen or shorten words to give them emphatic color. By length, all through the hot, slow, sleepy, silent ride. In contrast, quick, now's your chance, make a dash for it. Inflection is an effective way of changing the meaning and mood. For instance, how can they help becomes a sneer with inflective emphasis on the word they. How can they help? In normal everyday speech, these differences of emphasis come quite naturally to most of us. For those who wish to train their voices for public work, such as the theatre, the pulpit, or announcing, the study of emphasis is vital, and the reading aloud of material which demands variety of emphasis is essential. The next factor in good delivery is inflection. Inflection is the upward or downward glide or bend the voice makes on words or phrases. Like emphasis, inflection can be logical or emotional, and is best illustrated by its use on short words. Notice how the voice falls when you can say no to a simple question. Have you been to Alice Springs? No. There would be a more definite fall on a firm denial. Would you refuse a legacy for £100,000? No. Inflection can be simple or compound. Simple inflection is either a glide up or a glide down. Compound inflection is a combination of an upward and downward glide. If you say "oh" to register interest or surprise, the voice will rise up. Oh? Say "oh" in a disappointed manner, and the voice will glide down. Oh. If you say "well" to express doubt or uncertainty, the voice will glide or curve up and down. Well. Inflection on phrases conveys the mood and meaning. Notice the upward glide on a simple question that can be answered by yes or no. Is this yours? Yes. When the sentence is complete, the voice glides down. Well, that's finished. Notice the up and down or compound inflection on a phrase conveying doubt. It may be, I'm not quite sure. Misuse of inflection may destroy a speaker's meaning and often gives an impression of abruptness and even discourtesy. Let us take a few simple phrases and say them with a definite downward glide, and you'll notice how offhand and abrupt they can sound. Will you come in? Will you please sit down? How can I help you? Say the same phrases with a gracious upward glide or inflection, and they become courteous, kindly, and not abrupt orders. Will you come in? Will you please sit down? How can I help you? Notice the different inflections and how they vary in the moods in this passage. Are you happy? I asked. No, replied my companion in a voice full of misery. Then let me help you, I suggested, with encouragement in my tone. How could you help? He replied bitterly. In many ways, I said.
Okay, at that point I'm going to fade Bryden Taylor and say my cheerios. Things have deteriorated very dramatically quickly here. So we'll say cheers. Hope to be back at some point. VK3SL clear.